Hi, this is Marsha.
And this is Kelly.
We are the 2U's of 2U's Fiber Adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
You'll hear about knitting, spinning, dyeing, crocheting, and just about anything else we can think of as a way to play with string.
We blog and post show notes at 2usfiberadventures.com.
And we invite you to join our 2U's Fiber Adventures group on Ravelry. I'm 100 Projects.
And I am Better in Motion.
We're both on Instagram and Ravelry, and we look forward to meeting you there.
Enjoy the episode.
Good morning, Marsha.
Good morning.
Another,
It's bright and early.
Yeah. Well, earlier than our usual. I don't know that I would call it bright and early, but yes. And not so bright here today. We're gonna have quite a bit of rain. It's supposed to come through. Robert said atmospheric river. So I don't.
Well, I will add to our bi-weekly weather report. Nobody cares, but it's been beautiful the last couple of days. Just that beautiful crisp fall. Where beautiful blue skies and sun and kind of warm, about 50 to 55,
Yeah. I'll tell you why I'm laughing.
I'm laughing. Well, I'm laughing because it's been pretty mild this fall. I know that probably doesn't seem that warm, but it's now I think, but we've had in between on either side of that nice weather has been massive rainstorms and high winds and crazy weather, just crazy. In fact, one day evening, I was just laying on my bed, knitting and having a cup of tea, and I could look out the window, and the sky is just black, and the wind is blowing, and little pieces of branches are falling off the tree and hitting the neighbor's house. It was just crazy weather. And then we had that little bubble of beautiful weather. So today, a little rainy, a little overcast, but anyway.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the storms come through and they blow all the clouds away, and then you have this beautiful blue skies and sunshine.
Yeah,
and now it's gone.
The storm for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, well, what's going on down there with you with the weather? Is it? Are you having nice weather or not so nice?
It's cloudy
weather?
today. It looks like there's a storm coming. My app says the rain is tomorrow. I guess the storm is coming into Northern California sometime today, and then we'll get the rain Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Okay.
We've got like 5 straight days of rain, which is, again, that'll be fantastic. And then a day off from rain, and then more rain for a couple of days. But the reason I was laughing is because on Saturday we went to pick up our wine at the winery here in Salinas, and invited my mom and Dennis to come, if they were free, to come up. And my mom said, yeah, let's do it Saturday. So we went on Saturday. It was in the 80s. We were,
oh my gosh.
We were sitting in the sun, drinking wine, kind of wishing we had a little bit, the shade was taken. By the time we got there, all the tables that were in the shade were taken. So we were out in the sun. I mean, it wasn't the kind of 80-degree weather where you would just be melting. There was a breeze, and you could tell it wasn't summer.
Right.
But it was warm. And, we were kind of strategically placing the dogs, because my 2 big ones and then her corgi, strategically placing the dogs so they could be in the shade of our table, in the shade of the table next to us, that kind of thing. But even they knew it wasn't really like the summer 80 degrees, because Bailey was like laying flat out in the sun, sunbathing. So, but anyway, there's a couple of hours of the really hot, really, really warm for this time of year. And then it kind of goes back as the sun, because the sun's so low, as the sun starts to go back down, it, gets cool real fast. So anyway, that's why I was laughing about 55 being warm.
Yeah.
So,
well, There was one day I was out. I posted a video of it on Instagram. I was out walking the dog, and there's just a complete deluge of. I mean, it's just pouring down rain. And in the middle of all of it, my brother calls me from Rancho Mirage, California, and it's 85 and sunny, and he's talking about. And I said, I think I told him he needed to shut up. Especially when I'm out in the rain. If I was in the house dry, but I'm out walking the dog, it's like, okay, I don't need to hear this right now.
Rain or shine, you take him out. Yes. So
I'm a bad sister. I just didn't want to hear it.
Understood.
Yeah. All right. Well, should we get to the business at hand?
Yes. It's
the weather report, as we say, the weather report is done.
The weather report is done. It's another one of those days where I have a meeting directly after. I have a Zoom call meeting directly after recording, so we should probably move on. What I wanted to mention, sort of embarrassed, I'm sort of ashamed of this. What's that word when you're sort of I can't even remember the word. Where you're sort of a little bit sheepish. That's the word, sheepish.
I was going to say chagrined, but sheepish, I guess.
Sheepish is better for our podcast.
Yeah,
I feel a bit
for our
sheepish
podcast, yes.
Because I think I mentioned this before, but people who listen on the Podbean app would occasionally comment on the podcast, and I would get an email from Podbean saying, here's your information on your podcast for this month, and you had this many commenters, blah blah blah. And it's not a whole lot of commenters, but there have been some, and I could never figure out how to get into Podbean and see the comments, and be able to, because I don't have the app, and I'd go on the website and I tried to get in, and it wouldn't let me log in, and it didn't recognize me as owning the podcast. Anyway, somehow I managed to figure it out and was able to see comments going back like 6 years. Again, not a lot of comments, but I just wanted to recognize some of our listeners who have commented on Podbean. The most recent one is Rosalie. And she says, I have listened to all your podcasts. I discovered 2Us about 3 years ago and went back to the first one and caught myself up. I love your easy banter about your lives interspersed with tidbits of knowledge about fiber arts. I look forward to hearing each new podcast. Thank you, Rosalie. I know that feeling of finding a podcast and going back and listening from the beginning. It's really kind of fun to do that. So I'm glad you enjoyed. I'm glad you enjoyed doing that with ours. And then there were some much older posts that I won't read, but I just want to acknowledge from Wally in Australia, Jay Dens from Canada, Carol Trike in Southwest England, and XQYTPY, and I don't think I could tell a location. All the other ones all mentioned something that made me know where they lived. So Wally and Jay Dens and Kara Trike, thank you for your comments. I hope you're still listening. If you are, reach out again, because now I know how to read your comments. And then there was a comment from Grand Nurse in Canada that I did want to read. It was a more recent one. She talked about a suggestion for an along. It might be fun to do a dual along where 2 or more methods are used in one project. For example, a woven jacket with knitted cuffs or a needle felted design on a yoke or collar. Love your podcast. I think that's a really cool idea. I think we need to think about that as a possibility, because it got me thinking about what I might do if we had that challenge. So, and then this last one was a while back, but you'll know why I needed to include it when I get to the end of the comment. Gamer Mom 628, she says, seriously laughed out loud when you spoke about the afterthought heel. I had to put my knitting down too. My first and last experience was traumatizing. I pulled everything out and will begin anew with my tried and true method. And then here's the reason that I had to read this comment. At moments like that, I thank heaven for bourbon. So gamer
Yes.
mom, I hear you on the afterthought heel. Is not my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Marsha's favorite either. I can't remember the conversation that we had, but
well, I tried that. I remember I tried the afterthought heel for socks for my brother, and where you just make a long tube for the two socks, cut that tube in half, and then you have to cut for the afterthought heel. And I remember it's kind of boring knitting because you're just knitting and knitting this tube, where we've talked before about when you do my regular socks, you know, you have variety with the cuff and the leg and the heel flap and blah, 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 all this stuff. But also he doesn't like those socks because there's not enough room between for the arch of the foot for that afterthought heel. I don't think he ever wears them after all that work.
Yeah, I think
well, if he doesn't wear them now because it's 85 degrees in California,
right.
but
and if you have
I don't think
a high instep or a high arch, I think that's
that can be
that's not the best afterthought heel. There's another type of afterthought heel that I have the pattern for, but I haven't ever done. After several different trying socks different ways, I realized that all the different ways were not my favorite, and so I'm just back to my normal top down.
Yeah. And I'm
DPN.
This is a whole nother subject. Yeah. I mean, another podcast probably about it, but I'm sure there's a way to do an afterthought heel to accommodate for a better fit than I did. So anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I had
I'm glad you found those, and I'm glad you found a way to get into the comments too.
Yeah.
So
me too. So I was able to reply to the most recent ones. You know, the ones that were within the last little bit, I replied. So anyway, well, speaking of afterthought heels and socks, do you want to start on your projects?
Yes, I'm knitting on my socks right now. I'm on the heel flap right now of the second pair. And I kind of want to get these done. And you want to know why I want to get them done? I don't really like the colorway. I don't like the pattern on these socks. I don't think it's not I don't find it attractive. And so I just want to get them done so I can move on to something else. Is that a normal thing? Like you just want to get the project done because you don't like it very well, I guess. Anyway, so I'm working on the heel flap on those, and it's the red heart and soul in the colorway blackjack. And so anyway, almost done. I'm trying to get those off the needle so I can move on to something else. Okay. Mountain High, Heidi Kirrmaier. I'm using my handspun. I finished the first sleeve, and I am about the third of the way done of the second sleeve. And just a reminder, I'm not alternating skeins. I'm just on the body. I just am letting the color play out. But of course, the sleeves are a smaller circumference. So I am carrying 2 skeins, and I'll knit with one for a while until I think that that's enough of the sort of pinkish color. So then I move to the green color, and I am breaking the yarn occasionally and just pulling out sections when it's just, for example, if it's there's more green together. So that so the 2 balls I'm carrying are now predominantly green at that point. I am breaking one of them and pulling that yarn out and reattaching where it's more pink, kind of, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
To try and manage that. And I'm saving all those little scraps because who knows? I might need them. I don't know. But anyway.
Right.
Never throw it away.
Right. Yeah, it looks good. I'm looking on your project page, and I like the way the sleeve has come out. It looks nice. Yeah. It's pretty.
Did I post a picture of the full? Have I posted a picture of the full sleeve?
No.
Of the first sleeve?
No, you have
okay,
it. You have the first sleeve down to maybe about midway down the forearm, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll post another picture of the full sleeve. So anyway, and I'm still spinning. As I said, I filled 2 bobbins and I put the third bobbin on, but I've not spun anything on the third bobbin. What I need to do is the what do you call it? Is it the Scotch tension? The little cord that goes over the back. It's broken about 3 times, and I just reknotted. And what I need to do is just take it off and put a new cord on. But it's a little bit more complicated. You have to get out a screwdriver, and it's just a bit more complicated, and I just need to spend some time doing it. So it's not a big deal. It's not a real quick fix. Tying a knot where the break was, that's a quick fix, but it's not sustainable. But anyway, but then I've made pretty good progress on the rag rugs. I've actually not started weaving, but I've got the warp on the loom. I've got all the heddles and the reed threaded, and I just have to attach the warp now to the front beam. And then the next thing I need to start doing is sorting out my sheets and duvet covers and cutting them. And I'm going to do the technique where you sew it into a tube and then cut it so it makes a one continuous fabric strip.
Okay.
So that's the next thing I have to do. You talked about that in the
last one, right?
Yeah. So that's where I am in the project. I've had some things going on at my house, so it has sort of distracted me from this. But I've made at least I've got the warp on the loom. That's the first thing. Anyway, but I will just touch briefly on, and I did start, we talked about this in the last episode, but I'm having some work done in the garden. And so I did start a project page, which I have a link in the show notes if people want to go and look at the pictures. It's just so I have a record of what I'm doing, because if you don't really know what the yard looks like, perhaps the pictures really don't make much sense. But bottom line is, the first thing that's happening is that they're just the guy who's working for me has cut a trench in front of the garage. We'll have a grate over it so that it'll carry the water away from the garage, because I've had problems with flooding. And then the downspout that I had rerouted to mitigate this flooding, I rerouted through the hedge, and then it emptied out in the alley. That hedge is going. So I haven't posted pictures of this yet because it just went up last night, but he's put the new downspout up where it's going to be out of the hedge, and tied it into all the drainage system now. So he's now working on, there's a little step right by the garden gate. And so he's putting in the new step, which is it's not concrete anymore. It's it's like this giant 350-pound stone that he put in. And I don't know how he got it out. I wasn't out there to see how he got it out of his truck by himself, but he did. Anyway, so it's just an ongoing, this is sort of the first stage. We haven't even gotten to the plants yet. He's been doing, he has a young man, a high school student that helps him on the weekends, and they've been weeding the south garden, and they're doing that, the sheet mulching. Mm-hmm. So half the garden is done with the sheet mulching, and so they're going to finish that up, and then we'll move on to phase 2, which is still in the design process. We're still talking about how it's going to work. So if people want, I don't want to go on and on about it. You can look at the pictures if you want. It's not very exciting to most people because there's no plants at this point. It's all the hardscape and drainage. Yeah. But I may have said this, Callie. I don't know if I said this in the last episode, but I now have 3 cleanouts for this new drainage system. And I said this to you before we started recording, that when I was a renter and a new homeowner, I didn't realize how sexy cleanouts are. And how excited about cleanouts I am.
You and Robert get excited about
Robert
that
and I share
stuff.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I can clean this stuff out. Yeah. Anyway,
he still has. Well, I mean, his job was in wastewater, but he has this fixation on water, and he still has dreams where, he'll walk into a room and there's a sheet of water cascading down the wall, or we had we've had our roof repaired, we've done all kinds of stuff, and he still has like palpitations, like this 5 days straight of rain that's coming.
Yeah.
Like he's in high preparation mode.
I understand. I've never had a roof leak or anything, but I do know one of the issues I had, because I had to have all the windows on the south side of the house replaced. And one of the problems, I realized that the water was actually going down between the walls. And so it did damage the wall in the basement, in the room that I'm using for the weaving studio. And that's when I realized, I didn't fully realize what how bad it was. Well, it was basically the window in the up on the second floor in the south bedroom there. That was the real problem, because it was. I won't even go into that whole thing. That's a whole nother podcast about windows. But it was going all the way down, running all the way down the walls. Into that basement and damaging the plaster. I was like, why is the paint peeling? I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized it was that window. So anyway, water. Yes. And Robert and I are a little,
and he'll say to me,
we're cut from,
he'll say to me, Kelly, you have to realize water is a universal solvent.
Yeah.
Okay. I know it's powerful and made the Grand Canyon. I understand.
I know.
But I don't lose sleep over it.
Yes, I would say what I was going to say is that Robert and I are cut from the same piece of cloth when it comes to drainage.
Yes. And worrying.
Anyway, worrying, yeah. So, okay. So that's it for me for projects. How about you?
Okay. Well, I have finished the accidental dishcloths. That's what I'm calling the dishcloths that I ended up making to weave off the excess warp that I had when I ran out of chenille. And in I think the last episode, I don't know. I think I might have even broken into the editing to mention what I was doing, but I was hemming and hawing about what to do, and I finally decided I was going to reslay the the warp to be at a denser set. And so the densest that I could get it and still have a width that was reasonable, that I thought was reasonable. So I put it down to 10 ends per inch. And I had not ever made dish towels with 8/4 cotton rug warp. Is that Maysville cotton rug warp? I had never made dish towels with that, so I wasn't sure how that was going to go, but I knew I needed to use a thicker weft yarn. So I had 3 partial cones of what I think is called flake cotton. It's that thick and thin. I've used it before on a towel or 2 in a batch just to see what would happen. And I like those towels. They're nice. They're thicker than normal. So I thought, okay, I'm going to use up the rest of this flake cotton on these partial cones. So I did that. And then I still had the warp just kept going. I thought I had enough I think I said last time, I thought I had enough for 1 dish towel and maybe a bread cloth, maybe not even 2 dish towels worth. I got 4 towels, and I measured them each at 30 inches before I took them off the loom. So there was quite a bit more warp on that loom than I remembered. Or, I thought I had used up more than I had. So Robert said, don't you measure? Like, don't you have records? Like, yeah, but I didn't really go back and do a calculation or anything. I just kind of in my head figured out how much I thought I had left. And well, that was clearly not right. It didn't matter because I just wanted, I was just going to weave it off. So when I ran out of the flake cotton, I have this other huge cone of yellow cotton it's a 2-ply, but the 1-ply is like thread. So the cotton ply is fairly thick, probably a little thicker than the 8/4 cotton warp. And then the other ply is thread. And so it looks sort of like, it reminds me of rickrack. because because that single ply twisting around the cotton makes it kind of zigzag. And it's yellow. I really don't like this yarn at all. I can't imagine. I can imagine using it. I thought, you know what? I really should plan a project, like a baby blanket project, or even a throw for someone else project with some other colors, so that it's not just this baby yellow. It would be a nice color to go with something else. But I look at the whole big cone of it in a color I don't like, yellow, and a shade of yellow that I particularly don't like, a really pale baby yellow. And I just go, ugh. So anyway, I used it for the towels, and they actually could be like hand towels in the guest bathroom, which is also yellow. And I actually like this guest bedroom, and I like the color on the walls, but yellow is not really my thing. So anyway, they're done, except they just need to be hemmed now. So I've got them off the loom. I have them washed, and I knew that the set was a little bit wide. Like if it would have given me a width that I liked, I would have put them maybe at 12 ends per inch, a little denser.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to go that narrow. And it shows in the towels. I can tell you that I did 2 different weaves from the first chapter of the Marguerite Porter Davison Twill chapter. One of them is pebble weave, which I remembered really liking when I did my sampler. Back, when I first started weaving, I took the class. I remembered really liking pebble weave. So I used that. And then I used the one that was close to it in the book called vertical skip twill. And the vertical skip twill worked okay. The pebble weave did a lot of shifting. The warp did a lot of shifting as it went over the front beam. So I had these big gaps where the warp had squished together, and then the warp threads were bare. And I did kind of pull at it when it came off the loom, and then I thought, this will come out in the wash. And it kind of did, but there are some places where the towels are a little thinner. The coverage of the warp is a little thinner. And part of that has to do with the flake cotton being, thick and thin. And so when too many thin areas lined up, I've got some bare they're sort of bare looking spots in my the towels that are the pebble weave, especially with the flake cotton. The yellow one was a lot better, probably because it's a consistent thickness throughout. So anyway, it was an interesting experiment. I have to say that I was reluctant to reslay the warp. It just felt like a tedious chore. And it was actually really surprising how fast it went. I was like, okay, I will not hesitate to do this again in a project.
Okay, that's good.
If I want to, if I want to like loosen it up. I've done it in the sample. I've done it when I've been like, doing a little bit of sampling ahead of time, and then reslayed because I wasn't happy. I've done that because I wasn't happy with the way a project started, but I've never in the middle of a project said, okay, I'm done with that set, and now I'm going to change to another set and do something else. And now I know that that's really painless, or it was painless in this case. It did not take long at all. So I don't know why I was hemming and hawing about it, but another thing to mention about this is that one of the reasons I chose the weave structures that I did. Well, I had it threaded just straight draw for one thing. Yeah. And also I am helping to moderate the Marguerite Porter Davison in Color Ravelry group. And we're having Weave Along for the last quarter of 2025. So it ends at the end of December. We're having a weave along where I think it's the first 4 chapters are all twill variations. And so it's slow. That group is really slow. There's not a lot of, there's a lot of members, but there's not a lot of activity in that group.
Yeah.
I mean, quite a few people joined at the beginning, when we first started reviving it, but it's a little bit slow and there hasn't been a lot of activity. So I wanted to kind of add to that weave along. So if any of you during your winter weave along are doing anything with twill between now and the end of December, between now and the end of December, go ahead and maybe put that into the weave along in the Marguerite Porter Davison group.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the dish towels, and then I'll just skip ahead on the show notes to the chenille rugs part 2, because last night I wound the warp for my second set of chenille strips and slayed the reed. And again, oh my gosh, really and truly, when I first read about this pattern in Handwoven, I thought, oh my gosh, that sounds like such a long process. But warping for the chenille is really fast, because 4 threads go in, for me, I don't have a 15 dent reed, so I'm using a 12, and I'm doing 4 threads in one dent, 4 threads in another dent, skip 10. So it's not really that much threading. I wound the warp with 2 strands at a time. But if you wound it with 4 strands at a time, it would be even faster, because you would just take all those 4 strands and thread them through one dent in the reed. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of shocked about how fast that went. It didn't take long to wind, and it also didn't take long to thread I just threaded the reed, not the heddles yet. One other thing
can I ask?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Well, I was just going to ask you a question. So you've got 4 ends in one reed. I mean,
in one dent.
The reed. Mm-hmm. One dent. Thank you. And then how are the heddles threaded then? Are they
one at a time? And they're just 1, 2, 3, 4, just straight draw.
Oh, okay.
But it keeps them all really close together. Having all 4 of them go through the same dent keeps them all really, having all 8 of them go through just two dents, it keeps them all really close together, so that it's holding on to the chenille in the middle, and then you have a gap where you cut through.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, because this is to make the chenille, right? So, so I understand why you want that gap, and it keeps them all, but then, so you need to, it's just straight draw, though, through the
heddles. Mm-hmm.
Heddles. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And I understand now.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and so it'll be fast to thread through the heddles, too. I mean, it really is not so time. It seems like, you have to warp twice, and, it's really not as time consuming as it seems. And I was able to use some leftovers. So last time I used partial cones of that rug warp, because I had lots of it. And now I'm down to mostly full cones and colors like white that I don't want to use, because I don't want that to show so much. I want it to blend a little bit more into the pile of the chenille when I weave the rug. So I had to go looking for some other yarn to use for the warp of the chenille. And so I had some leftover mercerized cotton that I had used for a tee, that one that I used knit and crochet together. I forget the name of it. But anyway, that one, I had a leftover kind of partial ball of that. I had a partial ball of the Dance Rustic Silk that I used to make one of the tees that I have, the brown one. And then I had a cone of yarn that was basically probably from 2000 or 2000, oh, maybe earlier than 2000, 99. One of my very, very early trips to either Stitches or CNCH, the Conference of Northern California Hand Weavers. One of those conferences or one of those, events, I bought this cone of yarn and I used it when I was in the weaving class to make a vest, but it's a huge cone. And so, I don't really foresee myself making too much else out of it. It's like rayon or something. I don't even know what it is. It's, it was mystery cones being sold for very inexpensive at a booth, and I couldn't resist. So I used some of that. And so I was, I used up, I don't have cones to show, empty cones to show for it, but I used up some balls of yarn that had been left over. So, and the warp is really pretty, even though it's just leftovers. And in colors, it's like green and brown colors that I think will just kind of blend in with my other colors. It actually turns out, this warp actually on the warping board was really pretty. I was like, oh, that'd be fun to weave for real. So yeah, I'm moving along on that. And then I'm right now knitting on my sleeveless vest, it's called. And I'm getting close to the bottom of the armhole. When we started recording, I had measured and I needed a 3/4 of an inch before I was ready to do something about the armhole. So I put a little marker in so that, I don't think that I'm going to do more than 3/4 of an inch while we talk. But I put a marker in there so I can know, all right, I need 3/4 of an inch from this marker. So that's going well. The only other thing I have going on is I am continuing to spin on the orange natural dyed fiber that I dyed with toy on. I've got 2 bobbins full of that, and I'm just going to keep spinning until it's finished, and then I'm going to do 2-ply from a center pull ball. So that's it for me.
Okay. All right. Well, we're just plugging away. Nothing nothing terribly exciting.
Yeah.
But, well, actually that's not true. I think your rugs are exciting.
Yes. More exciting the first time. I'm still excited, but probably more exciting for the podcast the first time I was doing them, right? Because it was, now it's just a repeat of what I've done before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a nice rainy weekend that I can use to weave up all that chenille. And then I have to decide, once I do that, I have to decide what to do with the bin. Because I put all the stuff in the bin that I thought could go into chenille. And I'm pretty sure I'm not going to use up that bin. So then I have to decide
what do you think? What are your thoughts about the bin? Are you just going to put it in the compost pile?
No.
What are your thoughts about that?
No, but they are yarns that I was willing to just use for a rug. So they're not anything super special. Maybe I'll just keep them in that bin as, potential stash bust projects. Utility kinds of projects, like if you need a basket or if you need a cat bed or I don't know. Yeah. Maybe some of them tomatoes. Will go. Maybe I will make that difficult choice for some of the partial cones, that are so old. It depends. It depends.
Well, you know what my feeling about it is, like, if there's no reason to get rid of them. It's not like they're taking, yes, they take up space, but not that much space. And you don't know, like there might, something, you never know what you might need that yarn for. So I say just keep it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll just
Kelly, when you're dead, I'll come and throw it out.
Okay, that's a deal. Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
Well, some of this spirit yarn has been dead weaver stash that turned into dead weaving program stash that now is my stash. So it survived 2 deaths.
Yeah.
Death of a weaver and death of a program.
Yeah. Anyway, well, that's morbid, but anyway.
I guess that's true. But it lives on, right? Spirit yarn lives on. So
yeah, I know somebody. Yeah. So
speaking of spirit things, I got my box of
speaking
buttons.
of dying.
Yeah.
Okay,
I got my box of buttons out earlier this week because Aunt Betty was making snowman bags. So they're crocheted and is like a rectangular bag with handle at the top. Anyway, that rectangle becomes a snowman. You just, put a face at the top of it. And so it looks like a snowman. And then he has buttons down the front. And I don't have the pattern. She has the pattern. I don't have it in my Ravelry, so I can't link to it. Or, I don't know where it is. I'd have to search for it. But anyway, it's a very cute crocheted pattern. And she needed black buttons, 2 for the eyes and 3 or 4 for down the body of the snowman. And I'm like, got you covered. So I brought down my
slowly you're getting rid of them.
Yep. So
yeah,
they served their purpose. She took enough buttons for, I think she has 3 of these snowman bags that she's making.
Well, I'm glad as I say, slowly you're getting rid of them. Working through that stash. But anyway. Well, we need to talk about the home along.
Yeah. Got some fun projects going on.
It's underway. Yeah. Really cute things. And I was looking before we started recording. I was telling you, we were talking about the fact that I had started looking for pillows because I'm not going to do it for the home along because I'm making the rag rugs, but I've always been interested in knitting a pillow, and you walked me through how to add it to the bundle, the patterns. So I figured out how to add it, which is kind of exciting because I couldn't, and I was very careful. Remember in the last episode, don't click the add all.
Yes,
button?
don't click
very
add
careful.
all.
And if it's something, because you can search, you go to the bundle and you say if you need to know the name of the pattern, and then you can search that. But if it's something that is there's many things with that word in the name of the pattern, they all come up. And so you have to be really careful that you have to scroll. So like the first one, I was just doing a test, right? We were looking, and it was really long. It was the list of all the patterns that had that word in the name. So you had to scroll all the way to the bottom. So you have to be really careful to not hit that add all button, as you mentioned in the last episode. So I'm going to start adding some things.
Don't ask me how I know.
Anyway, but it's underway. It goes through December 31st, and some cute things people are making. And so it's fun to just see what people are doing. And then the Winter Weave Along is also going on, and that runs through March 31st. And we've said you can double dip too. So if you are weaving for the Home Along, you can put that in the Winter Weave Along too.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
so
a lot more of the Christmas balls have come up. There's a Christmas pillow that Michelle put up. that she's working on that has little gnomes on it. Super cute. There's some other Christmas projects. So people are using it for their holiday projects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cute things in there.
And then the blanket, we were both talking about. JoJo crafts a lot. Yes. Her blanket is really cute too. And you said it's crocheted? I didn't.
In fact,
yeah.
It's crocheted, and it says it's a personal pattern. It's not, because I thought that is such a cute blanket. So I'll reach out to her and ask her how she made it with the because it's like I think it's dark gray and white, I believe. Mm-hmm. Mostly the dark color, and then the white runs through. It's like a line, and then it has like little baubles, it looks like. It's very cute.
Yeah, and it looks good. And she has a corner of it flipped up. And it sometimes blankets that have color, some kind of color work or color in them don't look as good on the backside, but it looks good on the backside too. It's just a little pinstripe where the front stripe has the little baubles on it. Yeah, it's very cute. Mm-hmm. Very cute. So yeah, lots of cool projects.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got
ornaments, trees.
Oh, the trees are really cool with the I-cord.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's really fun to look through here and see what people are making. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something other than I'm gonna have to find a small home project that I want to do. That's other than
and a few Tunisian crochet projects too.
Yeah, that's fun. I remember the class we took on that. It was really fun. But the only thing I've really made in Tunisian crochet is a pair of mitts.
Yeah. Okay, Kelly.
Yes.
I think that's about everything.
I think so too.
I want to add one other thing. Is that I didn't put it in the show notes. I meant to mention this last episode and I forgot. But our friends Barb and Tracy, they have the podcast, the two Knit Lit Chicks, are going to be winding down their podcast. They have about another year, but they're going to be winding that down. And I just wanted to say thank you to them, right, for so many years of a great podcast.
Yeah.
And then also because they are put on the Knockers retreat that we go to every year. And that's going to be continuing. But we just have another year of their podcast. So I'm going to miss them, but they're still going to be around, right? We're going to see them at the retreat each year. So I just want to say thank you for so many years of the podcast, and also a huge thank you for putting together the Knockers retreat, because I think you would agree with me that it's kind of the highlight of our knitting year to go. And we've made a lot of friends through that retreat. So
it's a great event. And they had asked for people to mention things, over the course of this next year, for people to mention things that, things that they remembered or things about their podcast. And I put this in their Ravelry thread, but I just wanted to say, it was one of those podcasts like we talked about early on, the comment about going back to the beginning. And I did that. I went back to the beginning when I first started listening to podcasts. And theirs was one of the podcasts that I listened to before there was even a podcast app on the phone, right? I listened to it through my browser. But I just remember the discussion about true crime, and I've always liked reading true crime. And this was actually before, their podcast came out before there was sort of this boom of true crime podcasts too, Serial and then all of the things that came out of that. And I don't know if you remember this, Marsha, because you did a lot of reading too when you were young, but there was this like stigma about like this sort of thing about it being like a guilty pleasure, reading true crime.
Mm-hmm.
And I always loved it, but there was nobody that I could talk to about it because people didn't admit to reading true crime. I mean, obviously people read it. Anne Rule had many, many true crime books out, you know, prior to the early 2000s, or, you know, like around 2013, I think is when I started listening to their podcast. So, you know, she'd been around for a really long time, and obviously people were reading it, but people didn't talk about reading it, or at least people I knew didn't talk about reading it. And I remember listening to them and feeling like, okay, here are some people talking intelligently about true crime, right? I mean, there's actually, you can actually review it and talk about what's good about it and what's bad about it. And you don't have to be like feeling like true crime is a guilty pleasure, you know?
Yeah, really.
So that was kind of one of my first thoughts about their podcast was, oh, yay. Other people who like true crime and actually talk about it.
Your people.
Yes. So yeah, we'll miss hearing the podcast, but they're still going for the rest of the, you know, the year. I think they announced it last month sometime, or maybe in September.
Yeah.
So that's around the time frame. So anyway,
yeah. So yeah, very much appreciate them and what they've created. So yeah, good friends.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've done it. Is that everything?
I think that's everything. I don't remember if you said the Winter Weave Along is going from now through March 31st. So you have a long time.
I think so, but I can't swear to it in a court of law if I mentioned it or not. So we'll mention it again.
Yes. So keep weaving, keep making stuff for your home. And we'll see you next time.
Yes. Okay. We'll talk. Well, Kelly, I think we have to talk about our recording schedule, because I can say this now, but I'm coming down to your house for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So we'll have to record
I don't know
while
if
you're
going
here.
to Yeah. So I have to look at the calendar. I'm leaving the 22nd of November, and I don't know if that means we're recording before I leave or when I'm down there. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about that.
We'll talk. It'd be fun to record. Of course, we get too busy and then it doesn't happen, but it'd be fun to record together.
I know. Well, and there's going to be cooking going on, and hopefully a trip to the beach with the dogs.
Yes.
I'm driving down. I'm bringing Enzo with me. So we'll...
trip to the beach with the dogs, a trip to the Post No Bills with the dogs, or maybe a trip to the winery with the dogs. Yes.
Well, and then you texted me that Robert said we should make tamales.
Yes.
So there's going to be a lot going on. We may not have time to record.
We might
we'll
not.
See.
We might not.
Yeah, we'll see.
If we make tamales, we should record at least a little bit of shenanigans while we make tamales.
Yeah, shenanigans. Yes, because our listeners love our shenanigans.
Yes.
So, okay, I'm going to let you go because you've got a meeting to get to.
Yes.
And okay, we'll talk.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. To subscribe to the podcast, visit 2usfiberadventures.com.
Join us on our adventures on Ravelry and Instagram. I am Better in Motion, and Kelly is 100 Projects.
Until next time, we're the 2Us
doing our part for World Fleece.